Hello students, welcome to the lecture on research reports, and after the lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Explain the difference between research and technical reports, discuss guidelines for writing research report, explain the research proposal synopsis, define the components of the research report, explain formal reports and informal reports. Discuss, let us sum up. Let's start with a brief introduction to research reports. Reports may be business reports or research reports. After having studied about business reports, we learn about research or academic report writing. The word academic means that which is related to studies or education. So, academic reports are those reports which are prepared by students in their course of study or attaining a degree. These reports are generally research reports as they are prepared keeping in view a research problem. Let's now talk about the difference between research and technical report. How does a research report, academic report, differ from business reports? Following are some of the differences. Technical report writing usually forms an important part of business in normal courses, whereas a research report is an academic requirement. It is a compulsory requirement for the award of postgraduate diploma degree in management or engineering or IT at nearly all postgraduate institutes of management or engineering. A technical business report is written on an issue or a project pertaining to the working of the organization, its sales, progress, etc. A research report is written on a research completed in an industry or business company under the joint supervision of an industry expert and faculty of the concerned institute. A technical business report is submitted to a committee or to a supervisor for evaluation or for further action. Research report is submitted for evaluation under the guidance of the project supervisor from the industry and the faculty from the concerned institution. A business report is written during the course of business as and when the need arises for it. The research project report is written at the end of summer term, during which a live project is done and successfully completed. But the report is preceded by a project proposal which is to be submitted by all students. A business report may be informational in nature, not necessarily based on a live research. A research report records the findings and results of an actual project done within a given time. Business reports are more practical in nature as they are utilized by the management for the progress of the organization or to study a prevailing problem in business. Academic research reports are more compulsive in nature as they need not necessarily be used for future reference or the suggestions given in them may not be considered with seriousness. Not everyone in the organization may be asked to prepare a business report, but all the students in the course of study are required to prepare an academic research report. A good business report earns good name for the report writers and its suggestions are considered by the management. Both research and business technical reports have a standard format and structure that consists nearly of the same parts: introduction, discussion, and conclusion. However, the research report or the academic report, like a research dissertation, carries a certificate of approval for its submission and evaluation. Let's now move on and talk about the guidelines for writing research report. Objective. A research report, academic report, enables students to organize and report the experience gained during the research. The report should be a very substantive contribution to knowledge through integration of the review of literature and methodology developed for the understanding and resolution of management problem and the empirical work done therein. Topic of the research or academic report. Usually, topics for the academic reports or research reports may be assigned to the students by the institutions, but at times they may have a chance to select a topic of their own choice. Once a workable idea has been found for research, it should be subject to careful scrutiny to determine whether it meets the following criteria. It should be manageable in size, scope, keeping in view the time and organizational resources required for preparing a report. It must have the potential to make a significant contribution to management theory and practice. It must also be built on the foundation of a minimum working knowledge of the company, industry, business proposition and practices. It should allow scope for in-depth exploration of the topic. Research report guides. For supervising and guiding the academic research, students usually consult two guides, one from the faculty and the other from the sponsoring organization. Role of the project guides. The role of the project guide is as follows: developing and vetting the research report proposal with the student, attending the proposal presentation to be made by the student, supervising and guiding the student and providing periodic feedback based on his or her progress, giving written feedback on the draft of the report submitted by the student. Before forwarding the report for final evaluation, project guides must ensure the quality of the report and compliance with the guidelines. Let's discuss now research proposal synopsis. The purpose of the project proposal is to allow the student to place the proposed study within a coherent, organized framework which is also standardized. The proposal should be based on the topic scope of work assigned by the organization or institution. Project proposal will enhance the student's understanding, grasp and clarity of the subject matter, the context of the managerial problem and the research problem. Guidelines. The proposal should contain a brief background of the company, its business and environment, and then a survey of literature and context description of the subject. It should clearly state the research objectives, relate these to the subject and problems in this context, develop a model or state the hypothesis, provide clear definitions, describe and justify the proposed research methodology and highlight the potential contribution of the proposed work to theory, practice and research in the relevant area of management. Research proposal should be prepared in the manner given as cover page of research proposal. This contains the name of the proposed project, name of the student and his guides, the table of contents. This describes the page-wise contents of the proposal. It is like the index. Introduction. This should begin with a brief description of the company, its business and major environmental factors. This is necessary to record the business environment and functioning and to help the student integrate the learning over the past year and apply it in the managerial context. The research problem. This is a specific set of statements which describe the research problem and go on to develop the hypothesis. They also describe the nature and area of possible outputs from the research if it is exploratory, qualitative in nature. This should refine the general problem statement above into a specific form so that the problem statement may be tested, answered with a specific study. The research design. This will contain 5 subsections, namely the research methodology or procedure of study adopted, whether the case method or based on secondary or accounting financial data, sales or production data or survey based and so on. The sample and sampling frame or data source, specifications and plan to acquire the data. The data collection procedure. The data analysis, qualitative analysis techniques and the form of the outputs of analysis. How the expected output may then be arrived at by following this methodology. Time frame. The time frame for the completion of the research, stage-wise and event-wise, with details if possible, giving the expected day and the dates of completion of each stage. Limitations. This describes the limitations in terms of time, physical movement, etc., which might influence the research project. References. Names of books, magazines, etc. referred to for the purpose of study. Did you know a good academic or research report earns for the student credit in terms of grade, excellent, and also the possibility of placement in the same company, organization, or elsewhere? Norms for the research report. The primary purpose of the research report is to demonstrate the student's capability to make effective use of research methods appropriate to the problem and to develop and handle evidence satisfactorily. The research report should therefore contain a section on the research procedures employed, the extent, nature, reliability and suitability of evidence gathered, and the conclusions drawn and the recommendations to demonstrate skills in analysis and interpretation of research results. The research report should appear in the following order. Cover and title page. The cover and title page should conform report. Project title submitted by name in partial fulfillment of, under the guidance of, name of guide designation, organization, certificate of approval and approval of organizational and faculty guides. These are the two statements authenticating the work done and are put right in the beginning of the report. Certificate from project guides. This is to certify that Mr. or Mrs. ABC, a student of the Masters in Business Administration, has worked under our guidance and supervision. This project report has the requisite standard, and to the best of our knowledge, no part of it has been reproduced from any other project, monograph or book. Institute Faculty Guide, Organizational Guide to Designation. Designation, name of the institute, name of the organization, date, abstract. Each research report must include an abstract of a maximum of 2 pages in single space about 800 to 1000 words. It should state clearly and concisely the topic, scope, method and conclusions. The emphasis should be on the conclusions and recommendations. The word limit should be strictly adhered to. Acknowledgements. Students are advised to acknowledge help and support from faculty members, library, computer center, outside experts, their sponsoring organizations, and so on. The table of contents. Every research report must contain a table of contents which provides a view of the organization of the report material. List of figures, tables, appendices, and abbreviations. If the research report containing tables, figures, and abbreviations used, they should be listed immediately following the table of contents on separate pages. Chapter 1, Introduction. As in the proposal, this should begin with a very brief summary of the company and its business, and then the complete details of the managerial problem and the background to the problem, its genesis, consequences of the problem on the business, and current practices. Chapter 2, Research Design. On the basis of the literature review and the discussions with the guides, the final research problem will be described here. Chapter 3, Results and Conclusions. This includes all the tabulated and text descriptions of the results obtained in the study. It should be noted that all the tables and figures should be properly tilted and numbered and listed in the table of contents. Last chapter, Recommendations. The research report should conclude with the recommendations developed from the analysis and findings of the study. This is critical section and should highlight your specific contributions, keeping in view the purpose of the research. It should demonstrate learning and use of skill and knowledge in actual problem solving. Cross-referencing. All references, books, journals, magazines, newspapers, reports, proceedings listed in the project report should be cross-referenced in the text at appropriate places. Research report presentation. Once the faculty and organizational guides approve the final draft of the project report, the student has to give a formal presentation on the specified date and time. 10 copies of abstract must be kept ready and brought along at the time of the submission. Presentation for ready reference of the audience. Long and short reports. Report structure will be based on the needs of the situation. Long and formality determines the report structure. The longer the problem and more formal the situation, the more involved the report structure is likely to be. The shorter the problem and less formal the situation, the less involved the report structure is likely to be. Characteristics of shorter reports. The shorter report forms are the most common in business. Their need for introductions and conclusions vary because shorter reports has little need for introductory material. Some shorter reports and introductory material and usually begin directly with conclusions and recommendations. The reasons are that the shorter reports usually involve personal relationships, concern a personal investigation, are routine. Long and formal reports. Long and formal reports are important but not numerous in business. The needs should determine the structure of long formal reports. The presentation pattern of the long reports is as follows. Prefatory parts, title fly, title page, authorization message, the report proper, introduction, the report findings, summary, conclusion or recommendation, appendix parts is appendix, bibliography. Let's explore the formal reports and informal reports. Formal reports are those reports which are prepared with complete format of report writing, having a fly cover, title page and all the contents in the right order, including the appendices and bibliography. These take a long time to prepare and have to be documented and used for a long duration. In comparison to these, informal reports are short reports which may not have the complete format of report writing. The informal report or short report is more condensed than the formal report, but it is just as important. Outline for the informal report. Title page. Title, author's name, course's contents, introduction. Purpose overview, importance of the subject matter, objectives for these particular reports. Description of process and results. Understanding plus description, procedure followed for obtaining results, important governing equations, description of results, tables and graphs presenting results, uncertainties, relevant comparisons with theory. Discussion, brief review of results if necessary, discussion, trends in results, comparison with theory, answers to discussion questions in report requirements section, conclusions supported by data. Things to avoid in informal reports: too much clip art, clutter, write justified pages, weird fonts, tiny type, use 10 to 12 point, larger is usually better. Formats, letter, between organizations, memo, not email, within an organization, report, when the information is more complex or the findings are longer. Standard forms is when appropriate and available. Types of informal reports: information, just the facts, recommendations, answers or request for facts and conclusions or recommendations. Justification, unsolicited advice, not as bad as it sounds. Progress, how those recommendations are going. Summary, the highlights of a longer report. File, follow-ups of often otherwise unrecorded events. The report writing process, pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, proofreading, formatting tips. Use appropriate headings. Think of them as filling cabinets. Keep headings parallel. Use templates in Word. Do customize them to suit your own project. Do not use the contemporary template. Too easily recognizable, silly, distracting, effective headings. Use different levels, not unlike a bulleted list. Use parallel constructions. Bold is okay, italics are okay, quotation marks are not. Keep headings simple and short but clear. Keep headings absolutely separate from the body of the report. Do not begin sections with these. Let us sum up. Academic report differs from business reports in many ways. Academic reports are prepared by students in the course of their study in partial fulfillment of a degree, diploma from a college or university. The academic report should be a substantive contribution to knowledge through integration of the review of literature and methodology developed for the understanding and resolution of the management problem and the empirical work done therein. The topic for the project should be manageable in size, scope, keeping in view the time and organizational resources required for preparing a report. The roles of the project guide include supervising and guiding the student and providing periodic feedback based on his or her progress. The project proposal or synopsis should contain a brief background of the company, its business and environment. The final project report includes acknowledgement, certificate of approval from the institute and guides, introduction, research design, questionnaire, results, conclusions, recommendations, appendices, tables and references. Now, in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. A research report or an academic report enables students to organize and report the experience gained during the research. The students have to develop the project from the proposal stage onwards to the final report writing in regular consultation with the faculty. The primary purpose of the research report is to demonstrate the students' capability to make effective use of research methods appropriate to the problem and to develop and handle evidence satisfactorily. The short report consists of a little page and the report text. It is usually in the direct order, beginning with the conclusion. A good business report earns good name for the report writers and its suggestions are considered by the management.